Hello, everyone. Anja Keister here, and I am here to answer your questions. Yesterday on all my social media platforms, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, I posted a call for questions. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to answer those questions that you all sent. Ooh, I have a kitten close by. Oh. Everybody meet Bagel. Bagel is the current foster kitten. Bagel, you want to say hi? Ooh, yes. Hopefully, Bagel and I will make an agreement that he will not cause any trouble while I record this. There's a lot of cords, a lot of lights, and a lot of things to play with. We good? Okay, deal. Anyway, so I have compiled the questions from the different social media platforms, and let's start. On my Facebook fan page, Jimmy Sherwood says, "My wife and I love seeing you each year at Gen Con. How did you get involved in gaming?" So for those of you who go to conventions or just hear about conventions, you may think of kind of nerdy conventions being like video games and Marvel movies and all this other stuff. Gen Con is a little bit different. It's a convention that really focuses on board and card games and tabletop gaming. So that's one of the reasons I really wanted to go. Now, as Jimmy was asking, how did I get into gaming? It's a cat playing with a cord. Buddy! I now have this kitten because someone decided that he wanted to play with the cords on the lights. So, hi. Yeah, I want to go to sleep. So, to answer the question, gaming had always been a part of my life. Growing up, basically at every family function that I would go to, there would be some sort of game, you know, whether it's like we'd play bingo, or if it was a summer picnic, we'd play horseshoes, or if it, you know, every year at Christmas we play poker, or we sit around and we play cards of some sort, or a new game that I would have gotten for Christmas, or, you know, for my birthdays and stuff like that. So, okay, bye. So gaming was always just something that I did growing up. Often on car trips, we would play like license plate bingo. This is how I grew up, and this is how I connect to other people. Even now when I have friends over, typically it'll end with us playing some sort of game. It's how I like to relate. I think for me, it takes a lot of the pressure off of socializing for those who are maybe a bit more introverted or have difficulty doing small talk or talking to people. Gaming is a great way to kind of sit down and be close and get that camaraderie and fellowship with others that is sometimes hard for people who have social anxiety or just are not good at socializing. So gaming, I think, is really important, and yeah, so I've always been really into gaming. So that is that. An anonymous questioner asks, what are your daily habits or routines? So now that I mainly run most of my business from home, I end up spending a lot of time in my house. So although a lot of people don't like this and they say it's very unhealthy, I typically start my days by waking up and just checking all of my social media, reading the news while in bed. I get up, I make myself some breakfast, I go onto YouTube and I look at kind of any new videos that have come out for inspiration or to just kind of help me put myself in a positive mood, especially after reading the news. I spend some time with the different cats that may be around me as another kind of good pick-me-up. And then I just kind of start going into my work day. It's a little bit different when you run your own business because every day is a little bit different. But you know, every day there's kind of a list of things that I should try to do for that day. I'm trying to get back into the habit of going to the gym, or at least spending some time working out. For those of you who don't know, I'm currently in physical therapy for arthritis in my knee, like some early onset arthritis. So I try to spend some time going through the different exercises that my physical therapist has given me, or going to the gym and just kind of working out and doing that sort of stuff. Other habits I do, I actually don't really have a lot of strong habits because every day is a little bit different for me and it calls for something different. Some days I'm spending my hours working on posters. Some days I'm just spending it kind of creating social media content. Sometimes I'm out and about at gigs performing or just kind of seeing what happens with life. So I don't really actually keep a lot of habits and routines. The one thing I will say is every night before I go to bed, I do a set of different exercises to try to build some strength in my back because I have a lot of back issues. And that's about it. Every day is a little bit different and fun. And although I like to be a creature of habit, lately my life hasn't been that way. Speaking of social media, Rex Halligan asks, do you enjoy having a social media presence or do you consider it work? Do you try to strike a balance between personal posts and promotion? I do consider it work. Unfortunately, we live in a world now where if you are a person where you run your own business or you are your own brand, social media is a thing that you have to do. I try to up my Twitter every day with my followers because that was one thing I wasn't doing a lot. My Instagram, I've worked really hard over the past year and a half on my Instagram. My Facebook page, I put a lot of effort into it. It's been a bit more lax lately, but that fan page is also really important to me to be able to have a place where people can find me. And I have my own website as well. But yeah, I do consider it work. It can be very tiring and tedious, especially, making the post on the Facebook event page for something and then having to copy that into the Instagram of my business, but making sure I'm copying all the hashtags from the previous post so I don't forget anything, and then setting that up on TweetDeck so that it'll go out on Twitter at the same time as the rest of the post. It's all very complicated. I actually teach a class on beginning social media for people. So, if you have any questions, ask me. But it's a lot of work. That's not to say that I don't enjoy it. I really actually enjoy Instagram, and it's one of the reasons that I've been working really hard on it. If you don't already follow me on Instagram, right here, find me and follow me. It's the social media I update the most. And the reason is because I went to school for photography while I was getting my Bachelor of Arts degree. I studied photography pretty much, and that was my main medium choice of expression. So I really like, sitting down and painting my face. I really like setting up lighting and looking at my angles and styling wigs and color choices and edits and stuff like that. I really like all of that stuff. So it's work, but it's a work that I enjoy. And as for keeping private and public different, I do have some social media that is more of my private stuff that, it's only a few people. I don't make public posts on it, and that's mainly just where I go to vent and get angry and post pictures of my food and my cats. Stuff that the average person wouldn't really care to see. I'd say it's work and I treat it as work, but it's a work that I enjoy, and I'd rather be doing that where I have control over the content that I create and what I post than going back to some of the other jobs that I did where I felt like my creativity was stifled. On Facebook, Noah Singman asks, what is one place anywhere in the world you have yet to visit that you'd like to see most? Oh, I'd say there's 3 main places I'd really like to go. I did get to travel a lot, but not as much as I would like to, and right now budgets are tight, so I'm not gonna get to go anytime soon. But if there were 3 places I could go, it would be, I would love to see Japan. I have always been a big fan of a lot of Japanese culture and anime and manga and movies and their cinema, and I studied a bunch of it in college, so I would love to go and to be able to use that knowledge in that country. I would also say I would love to be able to go to South America. Which specific area is kind of, the hills and valleys of Chile is beautiful. I would love to be able to go to Peru and see some of the Amazon. I would love to just basically see that region because it's an area that I don't know. My Spanish is very rusty, but it's very beautiful, and I'd love to see any of those places. And the third place I'd really love to see is Australia. Just, I have some friends down there, and it's a beautiful country. It's a scary country. I'm very scared of all the bugs and the spiders that are there. But it's a very beautiful country, and it's very friendly, and I just feel like it'd be a really nice place to see. It's just really expensive, and it's like a 24-hour flight, and that's a lot. But yeah, those would be the places I haven't been to yet that I'd really love to see. Originally, I had thought Scandinavia, but then I realized I did actually get to go there. I got to go to Stockholm and Helsinki, and it was really beautiful. I still would love to go see Iceland and take some of the smelly sulfur baths. Not baths, but you know, whatever. We'll figure it out. Another anonymous questioner asks, do you do any meditation or self-centering exercises? No, but I should. For a while, I was actually a practicing art therapist, and I really loved it. And a lot of the stuff I did when I was running art therapy was we would do a lot of mindfulness. So I would teach breathing exercises. I would teach meditative art practices such as like mandala coloring, or like working with clay, things like that, where you do focus and you do a lot of centering. I also used to teach yoga for older adults. So like yoga that's very low impact. A lot of it was like sitting in chairs and doing stretching, and with that we would do a lot of meditative practice. And I used to run like drumming circles when I was an art therapist, because drumming can be a really great like meditative centering experience where you're working with everybody and communicating via sound and kind of looks without actually having to talk. And it was all very powerful and all very great. And I just don't get to do any of it anymore. Unfortunately, kind of fell out of that practice, and maybe it's something that I should get back into the practice of doing. When I find myself getting really depressed or kind of getting into depressive tendencies, sometimes I will pull out my mandala coloring books and go back to coloring them, because it does help to center and it does help to clear my mind. But at this point, I find that when I take a lot of time for myself, it actually has a negative impact on me, because I start to feel very guilty because I think that I should have been working on something else. That's not to say that that's correct or a good mindset. Self-care is very, very important. But for me right now, at this time in my life, it's not something that I can really set aside time to do, just for my own financial reasons and just kind of the way that my brain is working right now. But that's not to say it's not important and not valuable. And I hope that all of you find a way to kind of take the time to center yourself. I can't even take baths. I feel guilty when I take a bath because I feel like I'm wasting too much time I should be doing on business or other work. I should. That's the answer to that question. I should be doing it. I used to do it. I don't do it enough anymore. Also, for those of you keeping track at home, I lost one of my earrings, so now I'm just wearing one, and we're gonna just go with it. Mintamina Pie asks, is Seymour Butts your cousin? Actually, now I could see the confusion, but the Keister family and the Butts family are very different. We're not related. I could totally get that, and you know, it can be kind of awkward in social situations when there's confusion, but no, we're not cousins. We're not actually related in any way. On Facebook, Bear Anatomy asks, wonderful pun name, you work a lot of conventions across a lot of different streams and subculture in the geek community. Do you have any big surprises, like a favorite fan base for a property you don't particularly care for, or toxic fan base around one you do like? Do different conventions have a different vibe as a performer than they do as a con goer? That's a lot of question, so let me kind of work through the beginning. Do you have a big surprises, like favorite fan bases for a property you don't particularly care for, or toxic fan base around one you do like? Here's the unfortunate thing about the nerd world. Everything can be horrible. For everything that you love for all the right reasons, there's people who love it for hateful reasons. Let's be honest. I am a huge Steven Universe fan. I have like a gallery set up of just Steven Universe things. I have like my Steven Universe figurines that sit at my work desk. Like, I love Steven Universe. But there's a lot of really bad Steven Universe fans out there. So in the same sake, there's like I'm trying to set Pearl and Rose Quartz together right now. It's not gonna work. I'll have to come back to them. Like, I'm not a fan of Rick and Morty, and I know the Rick and Morty fan base recently was in the news for being like incredibly toxic with the sauce, like, fiasco, the sauce scandal of 2017. But I also have a lot of friends that really love Rick and Morty and are really great people and are incredibly progressive and good and wonderful. So I think the answer to that question is that yes, for every fan base, like for every fandom that I love, there's horrible people in it, and for every fan base that I like, every fandom that I think is problematic and has issues, there's wonderful people that like it. I think it's just important that as the nerd world expands more and more, we have to remember that we're in this because we like a thing that's not our own property, and that we should take the time to respect that and stay away from the people who are there to spread pain. Serious. Second part of that question was, do different conventions have a different vibe as a performer than they do as a con goer? I would say yes. Quite honestly, for full transparency, most of the conventions I go to, I'm going to them for business. I'm a very frugal person, so I was never actually like able to go to a convention just for fun. Going to GamerX most recently, check my YouTube channel to find the video about my experience at GamerX. Going to GamerX is probably, I think, the closest I have to going to a convention to just go for fun. I think over the past like 7 years, every other convention I've gone to has been for work in some way. Whether it was I was there promoting, I was there working a booth like I did at New York Comic Con one year, or I was performing at the convention and doing that. So yeah, I would say that there is a difference there. Because when I'm going to a convention, because I'm performing or I'm promoting something or I'm working it, I'm always kind of on to a degree, in the sense that like the smile's there, I'm going to be super duper friendly even if I'm having a horrible day and I'm grumpy, and like it's my job. Similar to the social media question, like it's my job to kind of be happy and upbeat and be a person you want to be around, because that's who I want to be. I feel like probably if I was going to a convention and I wasn't working it, I would just be a lot more quiet, a little bit more introverted, and I would probably like stick to certain rooms and not really go and do other stuff. It's unfortunate. I wish I had the money to just go to conventions for fun and to enjoy it, but as it's part of my job, I have difficulty separating those two things. So yeah, I would say it's different. For me, at least. And the final question I'm going to be asking is another one that the person wanted to stay anonymous, and it is, what's the most important mission in your life for 2018? Well, 2018 is right around the corner, folks, and 2018 is probably going to hold a lot of changes for me. It's very possible that I will be moving out of this area. I don't know where I will be going because it will be dependent on my partner's job, where we end up moving to. So 2018 is very up in the air for me. I would say the mission that I have as of now is to enjoy the rest of the time that I have here in this area. I want to try to perform a whole lot more. I would love to be able to go to a lot more conventions or spaces and see a lot more things in 2018. And I have some goals. Like, I would love to get my show at more conventions. I would love to expand it to different areas. And Another thing I have is there's a lot of projects that I've really been sitting on that I just either didn't have the time and money, or I didn't have the emotional energy to get going. I want to finally start my podcast. I want to expand this YouTube channel to have a different little side project within it. And I want to just kind of get a little bit more creative with what I do. Yeah, that's what I hope to achieve in 2018. And I hope some of you will follow me along on this journey. As always, if you enjoyed this video, do all that YouTube razzmatazz and like, subscribe, bell notifications, I don't know. Do all that stuff. Basically, the more people who get to see these videos, the more it helps me and my business out. So thank you all for being supportive. And on the next page, you're gonna see all of the social media. You can check that out. I've been way more active on Twitter lately. It's a great way to get a hold of me and ask questions. Like today, I answered who would win in a fight between a hamster and a frog. Do you want to know what I said? Go look it up on the Twitter. Find it on your phone and know my answer to that question. But yeah, that'll all be there. So once again, thank you all for watching, and I hope... I was just making sure I was recording. I recorded a whole section and I was like 10 minutes and it wasn't recording. Yeah, so thank you all for watching. If you have any more questions for me, leave them in the comments and I will answer them for you all. And thank you all for being here. That's gonna be it for me. So have a good rest of your day and bye. Mwah. What's going on with my hair? What's this? Anyway.